Alright, so got the copter on USB again, connected up. So first thing, just to look at this RC9 option. So I've got RC9 set to 31, which is motor emergency stop. So that's your really get out of jail free card for any disaster. So highly recommend you set that up. Okay, so next thing to do is get hold of the log. So download a log. IMAV link. I'm going to pick that one and then click downloaded selected logs. I've actually downloaded it already, so I think I shall now review that. So the logs from Mission Planner end up in this location documents Mission Planner logs quadrota 1, and this is the log I've got. 9:47 this morning. 16 meg. Okay, so here's my log browser. Okay, so the first thing I like to look at is the throttle. So let's see what the throttle is doing. Throttle out, and we can see a nice steady throttle and nice steady throttle at 0.03. Okay, so here's our first problem. The hover throttle for basically any copter in ArduCopter must be equal to or above 0.125, so 12.5%. So the way the maths works means that anything lower than that, it won't learn anything lower than that, and actually the maths, I think, for thrust linearization won't work without that value being above 0.125. So here we've got 0.0033, so 3% of thrust. So this is a ridiculously powerful copter. Nice. Okay, so I'm going to look forward to flying this. But basically the problem is that we've got too narrow a section of the thrust curve here. So what we need to do is widen the thrust curve so that the hover thrust sits a little bit more into the, not into the middle, but into not something sitting way at the low end. So I'll show you how to do that just in a sec, but just look at a couple of other things here. Next thing to do is check the harmonic notch. So we've got 4 notches running, good, and then we've got 4 notches running at around 115 Hertz, so that's cool, and they all look good. So BD shot working well, so pleased about that. And then the final thing might be to have a look at the noise. I'll probably do that with Pete's tool in a second, but first off I need to fix this issue with the hover thrust. So alright, back to the config, so I get rid of that. So that's a nice looking graph there. Okay, so we're going to go to the config, and it's these magic parameters, spin min and spin arm. So basically spin min is too high, so I think what we've got to do is try going down. Well, I guess we could try spin arm as 0.01, spin min of 0.03, so I've halved spin min. So this means that the thrust curve is just stretched out, so that you can imagine that this I've dropped down spin min, and so where the hover thrust is. So the hover thrust was at 3%. You probably could work out where it'll be now. That may not be enough, so I think I'll have to try that. This is the most ridiculously powerful copter I've ever built, which was kind of the point. So I'm sort of pleased about that. but I might have to even go lower than this. I might even, we'll have to see, spin arm. Well, I think what we'll do is we can tell something from spin arm, so that's what I'll do is power it up, and we'll see what sort of thrust that gives us. Okay. Right, it's just clear, which is good. I don't have anything going on there. Alright, so radio transmitter on.
Welcome to OpenTX. GPS 3D fix lock.
Okay.
Stabilize flight mode.
We've got stabilize. So spin arm is 0.01. So let's see what sort of motor RPM that gives us. Harming.
Motors on.
Well, that's pretty low. Interesting.
Motors disarmed. Motors on.
So 0.01 is
Motors disarmed.
that's really pretty low. I mean, they're turning, so you can tell that they're turning. Spin min 0.03 might be okay. So I think what I'll do is try another hover and see what kind of log that gives me. Alright, so did another quick hover. So let's get that log, review a log. Whoops, no, download a log. This one. Sorry, this one. Just pause while it's downloading. Alright, download complete. So review that log. This one. So what does throttle out give us this time? 0.05. So that's up a bit, but I'm just seems a bit confusing to me. That seems, I wonder whether there's something else going on here. Because I want this to be 0.125 or above, because the hover throttle that it learns is going to be here. So yeah, okay, I'll have to investigate that a little bit. I'll try going down a little bit more. But it is a little bit confusing. I need to find out why. My worry is that to get the hover throttle in the right range, actually I've got to reduce spin min so low that the motors don't actually turn, which seems a bit strange. So I have to figure out what is the problem there. Alright, so the mystery of the spin min remains unresolved. I took spin min down to 0.02, so 2%, and I was still only hovering at 5.5% throttle, which is too low, and I don't know what the solution is. So I'm going to have to chat to Leonard and see what. I'm guessing I'm doing something wrong, but I'm struggling to see what it is. It's just possible that no one's tuned such a high-powered copter before. We shall see. It's always nice to push the limits. All right, so but I do have a log I can look at, and I can look at the log for noise without needing to have the thrust change. So what I'm doing is going to use the Pete's filter review tool. So we've got firmware-arduPilot.org/tools/web-tools, and we've got filter review here, and it wants me to open a log file. So I'm going to open the first log file that I generated, this 949 one, which was flying nicely. And you can see my very low 3% throttle, too low, but let's have a look at the noise. So it's picked up that I'm running at 4 kilohertz gyros, which is correct, and we've got pre-filter and post-filter noise here. So I think the first thing to notice is this big spike pre-filter noise, 114 hertz, and that corresponds to the F-ton value that we saw for the harmonic notch. So this is my main rotor frequency, and you can see that pre-filter, very high noise, post-filter is almost non-existent, so that's really good. Now the next thing to notice is that these are 3-blade props. 3 times 114 gives us 345 or something, and lo and behold, at 345 we've got another massive peak, but the post-filter data is still quite high, and this is because I haven't set a harmonic on the harmonic notch. I've only got one. So what I'm going to do is fix that now. So let's go to the config. So I'm going to go to my harmonic notch setup. So here's my harmonic notch, and I've got harmonics set to 1, just one harmonic. And what I want is the first harmonic and the third harmonic. So that harmonics is at 5. Write those parameters out. And I think on this, I have a feeling I can simulate this. So, alright, so if I change this harmonics to, let's change this to 3, recalculate filters, let's see what happens here. No, I've clearly clicked the wrong button. Yeah, not sure. I thought that it would, I'm expecting to see this drop down, right down, but oh, show notch 1. Okay, so we've got notch 1 here. Notch 1 is not really, so it seems to think notch 1 is around here, which is not really correct, and notch 2 is around here, which is not really correct. So I'm not sure that Pete's thing is showing me the right data here. So I shall turn that off. But setting the harmonics to take this out is the right thing to do. Now the other interesting thing is this one, this guy, 277 hertz, and this guy at 67, 70 hertz. So this, both of these are frame resonant of kind, but this one is quite a problem, 273. So what I think I'm going to do is stick a fixed notch at 273 to, so this goes from 269 to 85, so 15 hertz, so very narrow, but I should be able to create a fixed notch at 273 to take that out. So I'm going to set my H notch 2. Enable that. Right, parameters. Okay. So H notch 2. So I want a frequency of 273. I decided the bandwidth of 20 is probably enough, so really narrow. Ref needs to be 1 again. I do want it to be the triple notch again, so that it's, but it's stuck. So fixed is 0, so that's correct. No harmonics, and the others are all correct. So that's going to give me a nice static notch at this 273 value here. And this is fairly typical of frame resonance as well. It's very narrow peak. Now there's something going on here as well, but I think I'm just going to sort of ignore that for now. 67 and 273 are not readily divisible, so it seems unlikely that one is a 73, 67 divide. Well, that's 4. So this one is about 4 times this one. So it's possible that I could notch out this one and then set a 4th harmonic to take out this one. I think I'm not going to do that for now. Because also, given that I'm hovering at 122 Hertz, a harmonic down at 67 is not that concerning, whereas so I'm not going to resonate this. I'm going to have to fly a bit more, but this one is a bit more concerning because it's quite powerful. So that's my noise setup, and I think the thing to do is, with those values set, is do another flight and see what the noise looks like. Alright, so did another short test flight with those settings and loaded it up in the filter review tool. You can now see I'm hovering at sort of 5% throttle here, and if I look at the noise profile, you can now see that this big bump here is taken out nicely, and then this one at 277 Hertz has also been taken out. Now it seems to have moved, so I've got 225 Hertz here, which could 225, so it could be 229. So I think this might actually be the 3rd harmonic of the the 2nd harmonic of the motors. So this is roughly double this one. So I think, to be safe, the final thing I'm going to do is go back to my notch configuration and harmonics. So I'm going to pick up the 2nd harmonic as well. It gives me harmonics of 7. So pretty aggressive filtering, but everything looks good there. Now the other thing to say is, so if I load up this log, let's find this log here, this guy. So Leonard says that actually not getting 12.5% is okay. So you sort of lose thrust linearization below 12.5%, but it just means that you instead of hovering at mid stick, you're hovering at a much lower stick value, so maybe quarter stick. So it does mean that the hover throttle won't learn because it's way above. So basically this is 0.0. This is almost 0.049 for hover throttle. So in which case I am going to set that manually. So if I look for hover, Hover learn, so I'm not going to learn, so I can turn that off, 0, and then thrust hover is going to be 0.049. Don't know why there's two of those, seems a bit weird. So I'm going to go for 0.049 for thrust hover, and I have a feeling this will get reset to 0.125. That's the thing. I have a feeling there's a constraint on this, so I might need to make a little code change there. But everything else looks good, flying well. So I think ready to sort of take it out into the big wide world and do look towards doing auto tune. I'm pretty pleased with the noise levels, very pleased with how powerful the copter is, and looking forward to getting this to a state where I can fly it a bit more aggressively. So thanks for watching.